Alrighty, everybody, welcome, Sidike, welcome Dwayne, welcome Tom. Thank you all for coming back to the studio. Oh, let me move that into frame. Where tonight we're going to be painting in Hibiscus. I guess last week was so well accepted that I thought I would give it another shot at painting a flower or two. I've actually got another one drawn over here. We'll get to at some other point in time. I'm going to continue on with the success from that. Walk you through what I've got here before we get started with anything. The paper that I'm using is my Fabriano Studio paper. There it is. You can see that Fabriano Studio, 25% cotton. It's nice. It's nice paper. It's not the best paper in the world, but it's good paper. On my right-hand side over here are my paints. They are all M-gram paints in my color around aluminum enameled tray, and I'm going to be using again my King Art brushes. Now, I've got mine pre-drawn here, as you can see, but I thought we would do this exercise we did last week. I thought it went really well. And try to pick the appropriate color for this. So often, I just kind of jump in and I go, I assume this is going to be the right color. And we go with it, and everything, goes fairly well. Last week was interesting in that when I mixed the colors and we put them all on here, things were a little different than I thought they were going to be. They didn't turn out quite like I thought they would, and so I thought we would do that exercise again. And what I'm looking for in this one is this nice, fun, orangey red. So we're going to see if we can't get a nice, fun, orangey red. I will be honest with you, I'm not thinking we're going to get it out of this maroon color. This maroon is kind of a dark, I don't know what the right term for it is, almost like a musty red. Ooh, but that's kind of a nice color. I'm doing this on the back of some kind of paper. That was that's a telephone pole behind my house. So it's not flowing and running quite like it would normally, but that's okay. I should say streaming on YouTube and also on Twitch this evening. So primarily, I think I'm going to be talking to people over on YouTube, but if I stop and say hello to folks on Twitch, bear with me. I'm sure there'll be a few of them poking their head in from time to time. The maroon is bluish. Yeah, it's definitely got some weird tones to it. It's definitely not. Let's see. This is alizarin crimson and this Hansa Yellow. That makes a lovely, nice, bright yellow. And this is that with Gamboge. These are the colors I have to work with, the ones on my palette. And a little bit of alizarin crimson with some of this Azo Orange. Azo Orange is a bright, shiny, fiery kind of a yellow all on its own. So there we go. We can see what that is like. Let's see. I don't know what I have to talk about yet. I'm so focused on jumping in with this. Let's see. What do I have to update everybody on? I believe, here you go. I believe that by the end of the week, I will have 3 new chickens. For me, that's pretty exciting. You all know how much I love my chickens. Let's see, this one is Pyrrol Red. I love my chicks. So I'm getting 2 new ones, and I should be able to pick them up by the end of the week. I'm very excited about that. And what else do I have going on here? I finished working on their chicken coop. They got a whole brand new chicken coop that I put together for them. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Here, let's do this. Pyrrol Red. This is our base that we're starting with. What else did we do? Aliz Crimson. Here's our base that we're starting with on that one. And then Quiacridone Rose. Here's our base that we're going to start with on this one. Ooh, this is a lovely purplish color to begin with. Look at that. Let's see. Snuke, you must have been tired. Susie says, Snuke says, you missed last week because you laid down and take a nap and slept through the whole thing. That's okay. I'm a big fan of naps, so I get it. If your body tells you you need to take a little bit of a nap, take a little bit of a nap by all means. Holy cow. Take a nap. Let's see, this one comes up here. Interesting, these don't look too different on this paper. Here's a little bit of this with Gamboge. This one looks brighter and crazier. And might not have quite enough orange in this one, or quinacridone in this. So I wish I'd gotten a little different paper. I didn't realize this didn't have the right sizing on the back of this when I picked this out. But as I'm looking at this, look at how bright that picture is. We need a bright color to go along with that. And I'm looking at this, and whoops, our brightest colors are this Quinacridone Rose and Azo Orange, which I could see working out, and maybe Pyrrol Red and a little bit of Hansa Yellow, that cold yellow in there. Let's get a slightly better sheet of paper and try this out. I've got some scrap paper down here, and that's got stuff all over it. This is all the same paper. Hold on one second. This feels slightly different. Let's try this. So let's get some of this Quinacridone Rose and Azo Yellow. Quinacridone Rose, Azo Yellow on a decent sheet of paper here. Ooh, that is bright. Look at the difference in that. Holy cow. That's bright. And let me clean my tray again. Pyrrol Red and Hansa Yellow. Did I do this right? Did I get the right colors? Ooh, lovely, lovely. Let's see what these two look like. Let's see. Snuke says, yeah, I tired myself out. I went to the store to buy a pair of frog dogs. I don't know what frog dogs are. I don't want to keep local creek and take water supplies. You just like my husband, always going to the creek for water samples and microscope bugs. Interesting. I got into nature journaling. I bought myself a couple of microscopes. Interesting. Don't know what I'm looking at, but it's fun. All right, cool. I'm looking at these, and I think this one, to me, is more vibrant. This, I believe, was Pyrrol Red and Hansa Yellow. Pyrrol Red and Hansa Yellow. I think we're going to go with this one. Let's do that. Okay. Let's get rid of all this stuff. Let's get our flower back out here. Let's see. I haven't done anything nearly as exciting as looking through microscopes at interesting things. I did tell Dwayne. I went fishing. You'll all now have to put up with my fishing stories now. I went fishing on Saturday, which was cool. A bunch of students where I work came out, and I let them all borrow a fishing pole, and we tried to help them catch a fish, and most of them did, and they all had a great time. That was all well and good. I went back on Sunday to do some fishing, and the first fish that I caught on a hard plastic bait. It had multiple hooks on it. And being kind of a knucklehead, not really thinking about it, I reached down to grab the fish and, you know, pull it up so I could take the hook out of its mouth. And as I reached down, it flopped and a hook went into me right there. And I'm stuck, attached to a fish that's flopping. So I've got to grab it. I grabbed it with my opposite hand. Then I've got this hand that's holding onto a fish, this hand that's attached to a fish that I can't do anything with, and at this point hurts. So I walk over to my backpack, which is, 20 feet away, 15 feet away, something like that, back from the shoreline, dragging my pole because I don't have anywhere to carry it. I get the hook out of the fish's mouth, which is fine. And I got to take the hook out of me now. So I get the pliers and I pull it, and it pops when it comes out. And the other hook, or another hook, dug into me here. So then, okay, fine. So then I've got to pull that one out. And meanwhile, the poor fish is sitting on the shore saying, "Can I just get back in the water?" It was quite harrowing. I had a tough time for a short amount of time on Sunday morning. I am happy to report the fish swam away unharmed. I want the fish to go back and make more fish in there. I don't want to do anything to harm the fishing where I'm at. So it sounds painful. Let me tell you, there was about a 20-minute period where I really had to decide, do I want to bother fishing today? Is it that important to me that I continue fishing today because my thumb is throbbing and it would be so much easier just to go home? But I stayed and fished. It was quite a bit painful. Well, that's okay. I just take it as that's kind of a win for the fish, I guess, or a draw. I hooked the fish and the fish hooked me. We both got part of it. And I stayed and fished and actually had a lovely time. It was a fantastic day to be out and about and seeing some of nature. Someday I should bring some pictures of that place. It's absolutely lovely. It's about a mile and a half from the Pacific Ocean, but it's situated in a strange way that there's no cell service there. There's no electricity there. There's no anything anywhere around. It's just you and whatever else is there. I see lots of snakes. I've seen skunks there. A lot of birds, blackbirds on all the cattails. Singing their songs or talking about whatever blackbirds talk about. It's absolutely stunningly beautiful. It doesn't seem like it's anywhere near the ocean at all. Maybe I can paint the fishing place. I've painted it before. It's a good idea. I have a video that I've shot. I did a painting of one of the fish that I caught. I need to finish editing it. Dwayne says it's always good when you don't end up in the ER. That goes without saying. It was a weird start to the day for me, but it's all good. I got to work on Monday, and I told my boss, listen, if I end up having to call off of work because I've got some raging infection in my hand, because I've been stuck by a hook, I just want you to know that's why I'm having to take off of work, not because of anything else. And he had a pretty good laugh about that. Everybody has a pretty good laugh about stuff like that. Kenya's here. Hello. Oh, and I should say, channel friend, Tracy, if you haven't seen it, if anybody wants to support Tracy Perkins, has put up a few new videos. I don't right now have a link to her YouTube channel, but you could search Tracy Perkins for anybody who wants to go see what she's been putting up lately. Doing some more drawing, some drawing that I could never do. She's exceedingly good at it. Hopefully she'll be able to stop in tonight and say hello. That would be really nice. So I should say I'm trying to do kind of what I did last week, right? I get stuck in a rut, and it looks like I'm off center here. So let me move over a little bit. Somebody needs to yell at me that I've kind of gotten off kilter. So I'm trying not to paint the whole thing all as one and get a color on there. I'm okay painting individual petals here and doing them one off at a time, and then going back in and editing them, or adding layers onto them. And that's kind of how I'm approaching this. I'm gonna paint this petal, and then I'm gonna let it dry, and then I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna put another layer, and then I'm gonna put another layer, and I'm gonna put another layer, and we'll start building up some of the shadowing and details on this. And the same one with this one. Instead of trying to paint one whole layer on everything, it gets all wet, it gets sometimes messy, sometimes it's a little harder to deal with. So I'm just not gonna do it that way. I'm gonna go back to kind of what I think of as old school painting, where you pick a portion, and you go with it. Susie says, my husband got two wasp stings yesterday. Ooh, he's swollen. Ooh, nature can be cruel. Nature can be cruel, but that's okay. Nature's just doing what nature needs to do, right? For the most part, we're the ones invading into nature's space. So I always try to give nature a little benefit of the doubt on so many of the things. Okay, so I've got two areas here that are a little wet. I'm gonna come over and give a little bit on this leaf, this green leaf just off to the side here, and we're gonna work until one of these areas dries up a little bit. And I'm just gonna continue to jabber on about all kinds of things. Here's a funny story for you all. So I don't know if anybody remembers, and it's not important that anybody remembered. But I went home back to Ohio last year, 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago now. And I'm sure I've talked about it. And one of the things I did when I was back home was I gathered up a whole bunch of my childhood memories, right? At some point I had put all kinds of things in a box and given them to my father, and he stuffed them into his basement in a crawl space and went, they'll be here for you whenever you're ready to come pick them up. Cool. Last time I went home, and like I said, a couple years ago, I was ready to pick them up. Well, what I did was I picked up an old car horn that I had, a comedy car horn, right? And when I say comedy, what I mean is this horn from circa 1982, 83 time period, somewhere in there, had a horn that went under the car hood, and you ran some wires back into the car, and there's a little keypad, and you could press a couple of numbers and then hit enter, and it held a couple of hundred songs that could be played on that car horn. So if you wanted to play, I don't know, La Cucaracha, right? You look at the chart, you pick out the number that La Cucaracha is, you plug it in on that keypad, you hit enter. Cool. My dad was so nice. he hooked it up so it would run all the way to the back seat of his car so I could play with it while I was in the back seat. And he was good enough not to yell at me too much as people are crossing the road in front of us at a stoplight, and I'm playing weird horn songs for them and whatnot. Well, anyways, now my son has a car, and I was like, you know what would be cool is if we put that horn on your car. And he was like, yeah, that'd kind of be cool. I was like, I don't even know if it works or not. It's old. So last night we hooked it up, and it works. It doesn't work great, I'll admit. But it works. And so we just put it in kind of as a proof of concept on his car last night. We didn't do a full install, but this weekend we're gonna do a full install of this crazy car horn on his car. And I am sure, you know, he's my oldest is driving now. My youngest will absolutely go crazy for this, and I'm sure play it every 5 seconds that those two are driving down the road together. But I was so tickled that this horn that I got when I was, like I said, 12 or 13 years old, something like that, that I can reclaim it. They're gonna love me for the car horn. I can reclaim it and get it to my son, and now he can have some fun with it. I'm absolutely tickled. My neighbors are not gonna love it. I can guarantee you that. We of course set it off a few times, and it's much louder than I remember. It's much louder. Or I guess the kind of the contrapositive of that, the opposite of that is when I lived in the country in Ohio, it didn't matter how loud it was because the sound didn't carry to the neighbors. But now that I live in California and all the houses are quite a bit closer together, it seems like it's blasting loud. It sounds fun. It is fun. It's great. It is great fun. I just remember, and I would bet every kid has done this or wanted to do this or something like that. But I remember driving through inner city Detroit. My father's from Michigan, and my mother's from Michigan too. So we would go to Michigan all the time. We had to drive through Detroit, it's all well and good. But we would drive through there, and he'd stop at a stoplight in Detroit. There's more cars there than I've ever seen growing up. And he's at a stoplight, and I duck down behind the seat in the back, nobody can see me. You can't. It's as though nobody's in the back seat because I've ducked down so far, and I'm just blasting this horn off. And God bless him, my father was nice enough not to turn around and yell at me or, raise a fist or anything like that. Oh, my Lord. I thought that was the funniest thing. I still remember looking through the seats. Right, my dad's sitting on this side driving. My mom's sitting on this side, on the opposite side in the passenger seat. And there was a little armrest that came down. Now I need to look, this is all. Oh, I have this upside down. Oh, okay. There's a little armrest that came down between the seats. And I'm looking between those. And we're at a stoplight, and somebody crosses the street, and all of a sudden I start blasting, dun, 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 right? Whatever that Death March song is. And my mom turning around, just being aghast that I would play this, and my dad stone-faced, looking straight forward. Natalie's here. Hello, Natalie. Welcome. Oh, fun times. Okay, so this one here is dry-ish. We can start to layer in some color on this. I'm gonna make a little thicker of a batch of this. Here we go. And I'm gonna start down here. I'm gonna pull this up a little bit, right? Just starting to add layers of color to it. About that far. And then I'm just going to gently, I need to get a piece of this paper towel in my hand so I can hold it. And just start to let this blend out. This is a really nice graduated wash here. Let this come way out. So now we can start building up some little bit of darker areas down here. I'm going to add just a touch of this maroon down here. I don't know if that's the right color to add, but I'm going to try it. Just a touch of this maroon to add a little bit more darkness in there. And so you can see we're starting, it's starting, the layers are starting to build up. I'm gonna start with a layer way out here too. Right, there's a little fold here that I want to make sure I get in. I'm gonna start with this. Rinse my brush off, mostly dry, almost dry, just so I can just take that hard edge away here. Maybe a little bit more water than that. Just want to get some of that hard edge out of there on both sides here, really. There we go. So we're just starting, and you can see there's a little bit of an edge there, and if there's one on that side, this is kind of probably bulged out a little bit. Let's put a little bit of dark on this side. We can start to pull this up. This will help us start to define some of these bigger shapes that we want to put in. All of a sudden, look now, all of a sudden, we've got a ruffle. So whatever's in here, I don't know. Natalie, you're coming at the right time. Save me. What is this, a pleat, a ruffle? I don't know what this is. I'm glad you're here, by the way. You haven't missed anything. We've talked about my fishing injuries. We talked about my getting chickens, and I don't know that we talked, and a car horn. So we're right there. Let's see, I'm going to paint a little bit over here. This one might not be quite dry yet, but that's okay. I'm going to take that and pull that down a little bit. I was really surprised. I don't know what happened last week. Didn't we have like 40 people here? A ruffle is a good word. Okay, cool. I think we had like 40 people here last week. That was crazy. I was super stoked about it. Very exciting night. Did I get new chickens? Not yet. Not yet. I'm getting new chickens. I have not gotten them yet. For anybody who doesn't know, I think you all know. Maybe there's a few people here. 43 max. I do love my chickens. I don't know what it would be. About a decade ago now, a chicken. God, is it a decade? Wow, that would be. Seems like forever ago. A chicken flew into my yard, and I didn't know whose it was. The kids and I went around to all the neighbors. And we went, is this your chicken? This chicken found its way into our yard. We'd love to return this chicken to you. And nobody claimed the chicken. And so we kept it. And we went, we'll have a chicken. It'll be fine. And we started to do a little chicken research. And we found out that it's really not all that nice to have one chicken. Chickens are really social creatures, and they thrive. They do a lot better when there are multiple chickens? Well, okay, cool. So then we got to get another chicken. So I looked around. I did all the best research that I could do in 10 minutes on Craigslist and found a chicken a couple of towns away. It was the right price. It was available now, and so we got a chicken. Well, now we got 2 chickens. What are we going to do with 2 chickens? Well, all of a sudden we got to get a chicken house. When we've got to find a way to house these chickens. So then we've got to get a coop and a hen house, and we got to do all these other things. And somewhere along the line, yours truly kind of fell in love with one of the chickens. Her name was Priscilla, and she was fabulous. She's a big girl. She was a Kokin. Anybody who's keeping track at home, and they're a large breed of chicken, and they have feathers all the way down one side of their legs. And you could pick her up, and she would just sit on your lap, and she was completely contented to sit on your lap for 10, 20, 30 minutes at a time. And I would go outside and put a podcast on it, listen to a podcast, pick her up and put her on my lap. It was just like having a cat on my lap. Cool. Well, she was not a young chicken, and I think the other one that flew into our yard, whose name was Pecky, by the way, was not a young chicken, and their egg production was never, regular or a lot. And so we said, well, let's get a couple of chickens that will produce eggs. And so after a few years, then we got a couple of more chickens. And that group of chickens was Pumpkin and Betty. We still have Betty. Pumpkin is the one who has recently died. But so along the way, Priscilla and Pecky, the original chickens, passed, and we got 3 chickens. We got 2 and a spare, and as it turned out, the spare didn't make it. She got injured not long after she got to the homestead here, and so we were down to 2, and I love the 2 chickens that we have from that group. They're both sisters, Blueberry and Dahlia. They're lovely chickens, but we have an odd number of chickens now. We have 3 chickens right now. And my goal was never to have an odd number of chickens. I wanted to have an even number of chickens. And as they walk around the yard, it just seems like it's not right. There's something wrong with having 5 chickens. 3 chickens. You shouldn't have 3 chickens. When it was 5 chickens, it seemed better, even though 2 or 3 of them were, quite young. It seemed better. So I hunted around to find some chickens that I want. They don't come up all that often here. They're Brahma chickens. They're a big breed of chickens. But they're available, and so we called up the breeder and we said, save us a couple of these chickens. And they're available this week. So I'm expecting that we're going to have some new chickens at some point this week, and it's going to be fantastic. Natalie says, cool, my son just got some new chickens, far better layers than the ones they already had. Yeah, as they age, egg production definitely drops off. Hence the term pecking order. There is definitely a pecking order. The young ones do not get a high place in chicken society, and they do get hen pecked. It's a real thing, and the young ones now, Betty still, when I come out with some corn to feed them, or if I just take some seeds out there for them, and when Betty wants it, she just runs over and whack, 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 pecks them and gets them out of the way. Dwayne says, we had a dog named Chicken that happened upon us the same way. Only different was the dog busted through the screen door. Wow. I'm glad I didn't have a chicken that busted through a screen door. That would be frightening. It'd be funny, but it would be frightening. And Dwayne, I hope chicken had a nice long life with you. And Natalie, Natalie, I hope your son's chickens are gonna last a good long time. Other than the fact that they make a little bit of a mess, which for me is not that big of a deal. Right? If you got a dog and you walk the dog around, you let the dog in your yard, you got to clean up after a dog too. So I just have a little shovel and I scoop up the little piles and toss them in the garden, and it's not a big deal. Or it's never been a big deal for me. Okay, cool. So we are starting. You can see, I'm going to pull that up just a little bit here. We're starting to develop some cool lines here. Some cool things, some nice ruffles on this. What is this? This hibiscus. A few cool areas, right? So we got this big ruffle here. We probably need to add a little bit of extra color down here on this one. And let that come up. So I want to get some lighter areas next to some darker areas, and some darker areas next to some lighter areas. I don't want it to be one constant value all the way through. I think that was the key last week. That's going to be the key this week. If we can vary that value on this and give each of these leaves some life or some interest of their own, I think this is going to be a successful painting. So that's what I'm attempting to do here. Right? It doesn't have to be, there's nothing that has to be, I'm going to use air quotes, perfect about this. It doesn't have to be, it's on that side, completely representational of that. It doesn't have to look like that at all. We just have to have something that's got some coolness and some wow to it. Dwayne says he did, and that's fantastic. I'm trying to think. I don't even know how. I think all the pets I got growing up were just kind of wandered into the yard or whatever they did. I don't ever remember going out of our way to find an animal. I think animals just kind of found us. And most of them were great. Sometimes I think animals know best, and when you rescue them, or they find you through the course of being lost or needing to be found, or however you want to say that, then those are the best pets because they understand they've got a chance that they may not have had before. All right, they just know if you're going to accept them, you're going to give them a good life. And that's something that they might not have had before you found them. All right, cool. This is coming along. Coming along. That's actually starting to look pretty nice. I can put a little, maybe there's a little spot right there of, let's let that touch. Let's make that, get that a little darker too. However these are going to go, something like this. Cool. I think this is a good start on this leaf, this petal, leaf, petal, this petal. Right, we got some light spots, we got some dark spots. There's movement in this leaf here, this petal here. It's looking good. This one is on its way. I like where it's going. Got a few tide lines in there, but that's okay. We'll figure all of that out. what we need to do, I'm going to come back to this one. I seem to be working on these two across from each other. That's okay. Kind of natural ones to work on, I guess. Let's get this a little more orangey. There we go. And let's see if we can't pull some of this color up a little bit. And maybe it doesn't go over there. Maybe it comes over this way a little bit more. Like that. Let's see what that looks like. And I'm probably diverting quite a bit away from that original reference photo at this point in time, but that's okay, right? You use it as a reference, don't use it as an anchor. I just want to see what this is going to look like as this is going to come in here like this. I want to make sure I've got a couple of areas that I have some interest to them. That's all. That's all. And if when we put this on, it doesn't look quite like we wanted it to, that's all right. We'll just take it right back off of there again. But it's going to. It's going to look lovely. Oh, you know what? I've got this whole side over here. What am I doing? Ooh, I don't want that hard line. I need to add a little pigment, give a little scrub. That hard line should come out of there. Okay, this is actually quite a small area. This is just, I noticed this when I was doing it. I've seen hibiscus in the wild. I don't know that I've really paid attention to hibiscus, but it's curious when I saw this painting, or this reference photo, that this hibiscus has yellow on one side of these petals, but not on the other side. To me, I looked at that and I was like, that's crazy. But in doing that, the petal has made it so that you have symmetric yellow all the way around, right? It's on only one side, only on each of these leaves. It's like on the left-hand side as you go around. And I looked at that and I was like, that's kind of crazy. I never have noticed that before. Never would have thought a plant would develop like that before. This looks so mottled and not quite right. Let's give it a little smoother color in here. It's getting a little hotter than I wanted. That red is getting a little warmer than I wanted, so I'm going to try to tame that with a little bit of this cold Hansa Yellow. We'll see how it works out. But I think I'm about to the point where if this doesn't get it to look like I want to, just need to step back and let it do its thing and then kind of get to it in a minute or two. But that's not too bad. That's not too bad. I cleaned that up quite a bit. I'm going to push some of this back just a little bit. Maybe that comes up. Maybe it comes up like, yeah, I think what I need to do is just let it be for a second. Okay, I'm gonna I just need to let it be as I'm continuing to work on it. Just let it go. Just do your thing there for a second. All right, let me take a breath. Natalie says, one of our best cats just followed me home and settled like he'd always lived with us. There you go. I found my last cat living in your garage. He was very good at protecting the chickens. There you go. He'd watch over them and chase off the hawks. I named him the Captain. There you go, because he was in charge of everything. I like that, the Captain. Yeah, I mean, I know one of my cats growing up. What did we name him? We named him Jose. I don't know why. But I do know that's what we named him, and I found him at our local middle school. I had track, basketball, baseball, some kind of practice there, and I just remember seeing this cat sitting there by the school door, and I was like, why is there a cat here? What's the logical thing to do? I'm just going to take it home. So I picked him up and took him home, and he just kind of made himself at home. He became our cat. And after a week or so, nobody gave it a second thought. It's funny how that happens. Really funny how that happens. All right, this one, give me a little bit of this maroon right down in there. Let's get a little bit of dark right in there. This one comes up. What does this petal do? Let me look at the reference photo just to kind of get an idea. This comes around like this. I think I'm going to leave some of our underpainting right here, our undertone, right where it bends. I'm going to let that come out like that, and I'm going to do some more work up here. All right, this is pretty dark right underneath here. And then it lightens up as it comes around, but I'm going to leave it there for just a second. A little bit of dark on this side too. These are like two areas you can just drop right in some darker color. And then this area in the middle, between the two ends, is a little darker. And that kind of comes and touches this area, kind of connects those two. I'm not going to do that quite yet, but I'm going to push it that way. Just almost no water there, and let's blend this out. I think we need something dark right under here. Let's get this nice and dark. Let's connect these two shapes together. And I'm going to let this kind of come around the side, the tip of this. I'm not sure this is going to end up this way. That looks like a thumb to me. All right, I'm going to fill that in. I can already tell I want to fill that in. It looks like a thumb. I don't want it to look like a thumb. There we go. Doing all of this with what am I using here? Pyrrol Red and Hansa Yellow, cold yellow. I think we can get away with using just mostly these two colors on a lot of this. I feel like I'm doing a lot of the talking tonight. Not everybody else is doing quite as much talking. That's okay. I've just thrown it out there. No need to be shy. Wait, I know why. Liza's not here. Is Liza here? Liza's not here asking a million questions. Somebody's got to fill in for Liza. I think that's what's going on. All right, I'm going to leave that sit for just a minute too. I need to think about this. I don't think this is quite what I want. I'm certain this is not quite what I want, because look at it. That's not right. It's not far off, but that's not quite right. Let's move into this one over here. Now it's fine. It's not a criticism. It's just a comment. it's not a criticism, just a comment. I'm happy to carry on the conversation. The only thing is, you're going to have to listen to me. And you never know what I might start talking about. If I start delving into weird topics, somebody just tell me, let's talk about something else. Trying to think. I don't have a whole lot going on. My youngest is finishing this year of high school this week. If any of you have kids or grandkids in high school, they're probably getting out this time of year. I remember that's a very exciting time. The last time you gotta go to school for that whole year. Woo! School's out. You can do your own thing. Spend time with your friends how you want to. Not because you need to get your homework done. Very exciting. Let's see. This is going to come up in here. I'm going to try to do something like this. Like that. Maybe there's a little flap in there like that. And something on this side. We'll do a little bit more detail on this one over here. Oh, that looks lovely. That's nice. All right, I'm going back. I'm going over top, and it's still wet. This paper is drying at a strange rate, I think, or a rate that I don't think is consistent. But that's okay. We'll figure that out. Let's see. I'm going to put a little bit right here and here. This is what I should have been doing all along, is just do one little bit. Let it be. Don't try to come back in and do that bit right next to it, or don't try to connect all of these areas all at once. That's what I did over here, and it worked. Why did I get away from that? I'm not sure. We're going to get back to it. And anything that doesn't look exactly right, it's okay. It's all fixable. We can do it all. Actually, if you look at this, it doesn't look too bad. It's got some coolness to this. I like where this is going. I really like where this is going. I want to make sure I get some yellow in here. There we go. Yeah, I really like where this is going. I think this is going to turn out really nice. We just have to work it a little bit more than maybe I thought we were going to have to begin with, but that's okay. It's totally fine. Yeah, look. Ooh, it looks. It's just bits of this that I look at and I go, that looks fantastic. Looks absolutely fantastic. And then there's a couple of bits I look at and I go, maybe it needs a little help. We're going to get it that help. We're going to get it the help it needs. I have no doubt. And to me, this is part of what watercolors is all about, right? It's you put the color on, you have a plan, you think it's going to go a certain way, and maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And when it doesn't, it's okay. Nobody's going to throw in a towel and not do it. We just have to maybe work it a little bit more than we thought, plan a little bit more than we thought, figure it out, because plan A didn't go quite as planned. Like I said, no big deal. Watercolors can be tricky sometimes. We just have to be able to interpret. Kenny says, looking good, thank you. Thank you. I think it's going to get, I don't think it's going to get there. It's going to get there. Let's get some, so this cool green on here. So this should granulate a little bit, this green. Right, this is a little bit of Cobalt Green, which is pretty granular. The M-gram Cobalt Green is pretty granular. And then there's some of this, what I really like is this, oh, come on, Michael. You know the name of it. Olive green. M-gram olive green, which is a lovely dark green. It's like I don't even think of it as an olive green, but it's a dark earthy green for sure. And those two together, I think, make a nice color. Get a little bit of yellow in here a little bit. Maybe if there's even a little bit of orange in there, that's fine. Let's make this look a little bit more alive. There we go. Now we got half of a leaf on here. Looks nice. Looks nice. What do I need to go back and fix? What do I need to fix? I've got a little bit here that needs to be taken care of. Probably, let's go with a little yellower on this. I think what we need to do, I'm going to get this to come out, that center bit to come out a little bit. I think once that center bit comes out a little bit, I think we're going to be all right. And that comes out all over here. All right. Good, 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 good. It can't stop right away. It's gotta fan out a little bit. Nobody here today from the Twitch side, which is really funny. Last week there were a few people on the Twitch side. I thought there would be more people tuning in from Twitch as I did this, but it doesn't seem like it. Twitch for me has always been on and off. I either get a lot of people or not very many at all. It seems recently I've gotten almost none, but that's okay. We'll stick with it. There were a few weeks where viewing was difficult because the transmission was, I mean, I'll be honest, less than stellar. And a couple of weeks I had to quit that side of things, so I can see where people might be a little frustrated with what I was putting out. I totally get it. Totally get it. The green reminds me of Daniel Smith Undersea Green. It could. I'm trying to think where my Daniel Smith paints are. If I have them here, I do. And oh, look at that. You're pretty close. This happens to be Undersea Green right there. Look at how close that is. That's not far off. Good eye. Kenya, good eye. In fact, wait a minute. Why am I doing? I got my Daniel Smith paint specifically to do florals with, and now I'm not doing florals with them. Why is that? I don't know. Why do I do that to myself? I don't know. I specifically bought those to do florals with. They are the, I don't know, Kathy, the majority of them I think are like the Kathy Johnson collection or something like that. I don't know. They're specifically made for florals. And then I do florals and completely whiff on using them. I'm going to paint right over all of these, I don't even know what these are. Pollen sacs. I'm not sure what these are. I'm going to paint right over top of all of these. We'll come back in. If we need to, we'll do it with some gouache, or we'll do it with a little bit of colored pencil or something like that to get those on. I don't want those to slow down anything as we're trying to get some color on here. Let's see, that comes out, that pops out that way a little bit. And then we got some of this color that needs to go on this side of what I believe is the stamen. I think. Hold on. I'm not up on my flower terminology. Undersea green is your favorite. Interesting. Hang on. Let's take a little deeper dive into undersea green here. Where are those pieces of paper? I don't know. Let's put it on this one. I want to see. I don't know where the paper. Oh, they're over here. Undersea green. 1, 2, 3, fourth one in. 1, 2, 3, fourth one in. Should be this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, the shiny one. Is this one? Oops, here it is. This one does not have. This one is not a duochrome. Oh, it's a lovely color. Look at that. That's quite nice. Let's just pull that way out. That is a nice color. I like that. I can see why I have that for florals. It's a very nice color of green. Oh, why am I struggling to make my own? I should just be using that. Ah, that's okay. That's okay. I do, you guys have heard me say it a million times, I like these M-gram paints better than anything. People like Daniel Smith. That's cool. I will never say Daniel Smith there's anything wrong with it. But for me, I just really enjoy using these M-gram paints so much. But let's see what this one looks like when it dries. Let's see the difference between theirs and mine. It's almost dry. It's getting there. I'm going to make this a little darker under here. I'm not making my green darker with blue. I'm making it darker with this olive green. I might make the stem underneath, maybe a slight tint of blue, but I don't want to put blue on this leaf because it's going to push it back too far. I want to keep it in the green family, right? Before it gets pushed back. I want it to be only further back than the petal here that it's next to, which for some reason it has just run into. Don't do that. Why would you do that? And this looks a little clumpy to me. Things are not working exactly as planned this evening. Have to regroup a little bit. It'll all be fine. It'll all work out in the end. We're going to end up with something that's going to look fantastic. It's already starting to look really good, right? I don't want to say it doesn't look good or there's something wrong with it, because it doesn't. It looks great. It looks great so far. Let's get some color in here. This is way down deep in here. I'm going to put a little bit more of this maroon down in here. if there is a little bit of blue tint in this maroon, that will only help to seat this in the center a little bit. Right? Only help to make it look like it dives in that little bit. Now things are falling off my desk. Natalie said something. Natalie said, I think M. Graham is the preferred paint of Mind of Watercolor too. He does like, yeah, he does like M. Graham paints. He does. Steve Mitchell, for sure, he's a fan. For sure. I think, though, I've seen him use other stuff, but I do know he does like the M. Graham paints. They're lovely. I'm not going to say they're divine or anything like that, but they are quite lovely across the range, right? Any manufacturer can have one or two colors that you go, I don't know, really doesn't hit the mark. But as far as I'm concerned, across the range, M. Graham comes as close to hitting the mark on all the colors as anybody does. And I say that knowing that that's a me thing, totally a me thing. Like I said, I've got friends that think exactly the same about Daniel Smith or about, what's the French one? Sennelier? Same thing, right? I don't know if it's because that's what you started with or that's what you had your first good experience with, and so you kind of feel, I'm going to stick with it. I think these are really good, and then you learn those colors a little bit better than others, or if it's some of the binder that's in them that makes them feel better than others, and we just like to use what we know, which totally could be a thing. I'm not sure, but I tried 2 or 3 or 4 different brands of these before I really kind of settled on using these M. Graham paints almost full time, almost exclusively. And like I said, for me, there's no going back. Let's make that a little straighter. There we go. Something like that. Maybe there's a little bend in that, but we're going to make that a little straighter. And we're going to fix all of these right now. Anything that we did that is a little dubious, we're going to fix it up right now, and it's going to start looking absolutely fabulous. My goal here is that when Liza sees this in replay, she's in awe of how good it is and what she missed. How's that? How's that for a goal? No, I just want to make what I think is a really good flower. I think we're getting there. I'm sure we're getting there. I'm a mix and match artist, Natalie. I make my own palettes with whatever brand or colors I like best. Yeah, so that's curious. You all know I've only ever taken a couple of art classes, and one of the classes I took, the instructor, the first class I took, the instructor was like, I don't care what you buy, they're all pretty much the same. I just buy whatever pigment I want, and everything else is going to work out. And I went, is that really a thing? Does that work out? And he was convinced you could do that and not have to worry too much about it. So you're kind of in good hands with, or, you know, in good thought about that, Natalie. I don't know that I could do it. But he did it. And he was kind of a world-class artist. He was friends with Jasper Johns. He knew Jackson Pollock. I mean, he knew lots of guys. What am I going to do with this? I got, let's see, I got this. This is kind of a mess. I want to know why this is staining a little bit. I want this to come back a little further. All right, I gotta fix this. I gotta fix it. I don't like the way it looks. That's got to come back down this way a little bit further. That's better. Okay, cool. I can live with that. And this, and I'm gonna put one of these right here, a fold. Slight, just a little bend in there. Am I getting too crazy with all of that at this point? I don't want to get too crazy with this. Let's see, I fear I'm getting a little out of control with all these ruffles on here, but the plant has quite a few of them. And they're fun to paint. This needs to be just a gentle blend in and out on this side. Gentle, really nice. So that we capture this little bit. Can be quite dark. That little end bit that's folded up right there. Fold. Let's see, I think mixing and matching works, especially with one pigment color. I think you could be right. I think it's a preference, right? If you're used to it, it's going to work for you. If you're like me and you go, oh, you get a little beklempt over not having the right thing. The thought of having to get a second color family in there, which is really what we're talking about, and mixing it in, I'd be like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna go. I'd be all fired up about it. But you guys, I'm telling you, you know, you guys do some fantastic stuff too. Natalie, I've seen some of your stuff you've posted on Discord. It's fantastic. So if that's what works, then who am I to say anything about it? Okay. Look, I like my leaf here. I think my leaf kind of works. I think this needs to come out a little further. I think we need to pull this color out a little further. We're going to make this leaf work here real quickly. That side, I like that side. It just gets folded in a little bit. Now, what I really think that we need to do. Cool. All right, I think that's going to look better. I think that line where the color stopped right in there was a little too shallow. We just needed to have that come out a little bit. Okay, what we really need to do, we've got the start of something that looks nice, right? It's getting there. It's starting to look nice. We still have a little ways to go, but I think it's getting there. right? We can do a few things like we can darken up this edge down here. Might be too much red. Come on. We can darken up this edge. And let that come back up. Let that blend right back up. Really nice and smooth. It'll give a whole lot more interest to this petal as it comes up. Right. We can do that on a couple of other ones. All of a sudden that looks better, right? It looks like there might be a fold right up here where it comes across. That's all going to get better. The big thing to me is in this middle. This middle is not dark enough, right? It all looks a little flat, and it needs to look like it dives in like that. It looks like a hibiscus to you. Thank you, Susie. Natalie says, I like the core paints, but I don't mix them with others. They're too pushy. Natalie, I wouldn't mix them with others because they're too expensive. Core paints are not cheap. All right. Whoops. Let's see. Oh yeah, we gotta. Yeah, let's see if we can do something about this. I think this area in here needs to be darker. So I'm gonna mix up. This is a place where I'm gonna use some of this Ultramarine. I am going to use Ultramarine, and I'm going to throw in a little bit of this neutral tint, and that should make like a dark purplish kind of a color. Ooh, look at that. And before we do anything and screw everything up, I like the color. In theory, I think it's going to work, but let's do this. Let's get some of this beautiful orange color. Put it on here, red, orangey color. Cool. And then let's take a little bit of this color that we've just made. Let's throw it on here. Let's throw a little bit on this side too. And let's let this dry and see what that looks like when it dries. If it looks really weird when it dries, then we're probably not going to use that. We'll figure something else out. Okay. And then this is the, what is this? Undersea Green, which is lovely. It didn't granulate, but because this is the back side of a cheaper piece of paper, and there's no texture to it, so that might be why. But it laid down really nicely. And as I'm looking at this, what I'm seeing is I like that color against the red. Not sure I like it quite so much where it's so orangey, but on the red, look at that. I think that looks fantastic. So let's see if we can use a little bit more red in some of these areas. Let's start with this one here. A little bit more red. I'm going to bring this up a little ways. I'm going to blend it out. Clean water. Blend, 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 blend. And I'm going to tap our mixture into the bottom of this. And if that is going to make it kind of run up a little bit, that's fine. Sherry's here. Hello. Hello, Sherry. Welcome. I'm glad you can make it. Let's just let this do its thing here. I'm actually going to pull it a little bit. We'll get it a little bit darker right around the end here. Okay, cool. Does that one look like it kind of goes deep in there a little? It does a little bit, doesn't it? Okay, cool. Let's do that on this side. This one over here. Get some of this red color. that we want to match it with. Let's bring it out a little bit. A little bit more of this color. Right on out. I'll blend it down so we don't have a tide line at the end of it. Okay, and now that we've got that, I'm going to take our color here, neutral tint, Ultramarine Blue, and I'm going to put some of that right up in here, and just going to let it pull out a little bit, and hopefully that's going to make it look, it already looks like, to me, boop, like it's caused a dip in there, right? It looks to me as though this now looks like it's a deeper little pocket. Sure, you were painting hibiscus a couple of weeks ago. How did yours go? Better than mine. Probably better than mine. I'm sure yours went great. I'll do the same thing. I'm going to drop in, make sure I've got this red base in here. And the red base is just to ensure that, for me, it's the right background for what I think this color needs to be, or be on. Okay, and drop some of this color on here. I try not to make it too strong. Yeah. Okay, I can live with that. I can totally live with that. On this side of it, it just comes barely up. Barely. And I'm kind of taking my life in my hands here by painting all these right at the center of this, where the paint could touch and run right together. Kind of taking my life in my hands a little bit. That's all right. That's okay. It does. It pulls it in. I think it's that little bit of blue shade that's in here. A little bit of blue. Really working for us. Yeah. I like that. Okay, so now I've got to let that sit, and we can come back and we can fiddle with some other areas of this, of the petals here. I want to get something a lot brighter, a lot oranger out here, a lot yellower. I'm okay with a lot yellower out here. Right, yellow is still a very light color. Let's get some yellow out here, get some color on that, and then right next to it, right in the middle here, something a little darker. Don't run all over though. I'm gonna push you up this way. It might be too red. Right next to it. Okay, cool. I got that side. And it looked like I dropped for a second. I just got a pop up. If I dropped for a second, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what the cause of that is. I don't want to drop. Tried very hard to figure it out. Let's see. Sherry says, mine is much better than yours. Yeah, I don't know. I doubt it. I'm sure yours was fantastic. I'm sure yours looked great. All right, come on. We got a little bit to fill in here. We got a few areas in here that are a little lacking in what we have. I don't think I hit my mark with this one quite. I think last week I had a better plan. Oh, Fields Beyond. We got somebody over on Twitch. Hello. Fields says, no, I thought it was on my end. Maybe it's on Twitch's end. I don't know. That weird drop. I'm sorry about that, Fields. I did see my frame rate drop way down here and then came right back up. And now it's kind of in the middle. So I've no doubt this is an issue on my end and not on anybody else's end. And that's a me thing. Since I started broadcasting out here in the garage 7 years ago, I've had intermittent issues and I can't seem to get rid of them. I apologize for that, but not too much I can do about it. And there's absolutely nothing I can do about it at the moment. So just please bear with it for a short amount of time. Typically, it passes right by and it's not a big deal. Yeah, it's been going on and off. Ay. What's funny is the number of frames, the kilobits per second that it transmits is exactly the same. Hasn't changed. Actually, it's up higher than it ever has been right now, but it says the dropped number of frames has gone up too. And I don't understand quite how that works. But I think what it means is choppy viewing for everybody. So, sorry about that. Once again, sorry about that. I don't like it any better than anybody else. And now it looks like it's back to normal. No issues. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I really don't get it. Do these look like decent... These look like decent petals. Honestly, I can't even tell you when the last time I saw N Hibiscus was. I mean, in real life. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. I've none at my house. I don't know. I think the last time I saw him was... Did it just blip again? The last time I saw him was a long time ago. I think I saw some at the hardware store at one point in time. That could be. But even though I put the entire chicken coop together, built an entire chicken coop, I didn't have to run up to the hardware store at all to do it, which is a huge win. I'm going to take just a bit of our color here, our blue color, and I'm going to mix it with some of this because I want this leaf just to be underneath that a little bit. Just, I want to make sure, I'm going to use that blue in there to make sure that that leaf is just underneath this one. And I don't know if you can tell, I can tell by looking at it. That little bit of blue made this pop right off of there. And I'm going to try that little trick in a couple of these other places. Like right here. Right there. Let's make this leaf pop right off. We had so many of these warm colors. We need something to break that up a little bit. Something just to make this come to life. And I think what that's going to be are some of these darker colors. So this came off a little bit. I'm going to extend this all the way down here. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, cool. All right, so now that's off of there. This leaf, this petal automatically came forward. Can you guys see that? Fields on over on Twitch says we're looking at houses. One had a large garage, but a smaller house. So we're toying about getting our art station set up, and we're wondering how streaming would work, or is it better to find a house that has an office? I don't know. I'm not good for that. I have the main router in my house is, I don't know, 40 yards, 50 yards that way, and I've got a little repeater out here that I hope helps with things, and for a long time it did, and then at some points it just kind of seems to not to. And this computer's hooked up wirelessly, obviously. So it's tough for me to say, yeah, this will work or that won't work, because it should work. I shouldn't have any issues with it, but I do. And sometimes I think the issue is not the Wi-Fi. I think sometimes the issue is the connection into our house. I don't live in a large area, a large built-up area. I kind of live way out in the middle of nowhere, and it's just, I think it's just tough to get good service out here. I mean, if it were me, I don't know where you live at or where you're looking at. I would like to get something in the house, because I'm telling you, where I live in the winter, not that it's cold by any stretch, but it's cold. Not that it's cold, but it's cold. We get into the low 40s here, and I'm in a garage. It's got a cement floor, not really insulated walls or anything. So when it's 40 outside, it's 40 inside, and it gets chilly. And conversely, in the summer, when it's hot outside, and thankfully I live in an area, all right next to the Pacific Ocean, where it doesn't get all that hot, but the heat builds up in here, and the concrete helps retain that heat. So the summertime is sometimes quite warm. And if those are concerns for you, there were things I would look at. Sherry says, sometimes weird things happen on this channel. Thank you. You keep disappearing, and then the channel comes right back. But Sherry doesn't normally have any problems. Yeah, in Fields Beyond, ask away, man. We're all on one journey together, right? If I can lend some help to something, I'm happy to do that. I don't know that I would take anything I say as gospel for anything, but I'm happy to answer questions and give you my opinion on things, and then you take it for what it's worth. If you think it's good advice, awesome. If you don't, chalk it up. It's just one more data point in there that somebody's given you. And I gotta get the stem in here, right? I don't even know what side my shadow is supposed to be on in here. I'm gonna put it on that side. I think I'm all over the place on this painting. I came into this one. This is another one, and I keep pushing this up too high. Let me do this. If I'm gonna do this, let me just move everything up a little higher. There we go. That's probably a little better. I came into this with good intentions, and I thought I'd be able to do this, and maybe, just maybe, I'm I didn't have the best game plan from the beginning. It's going to turn out. It's going to turn out lovely. I'm not worried about that. I like this. I like this. This makes it look folded over. Hey, let me darken this a little bit here. That's folded over there. That's hiding in some darkness. Let's make this a little purple, more purpley in here. Look at that. All our last minute details are going to be the best ones. How's that possible? I knew there was going to be a little bit of this because this was so hot and so fiery. We need a little bit of something to cool that down. So this cooler color on there is really going to help it out. Come on, and I love being able to work in my neutral tint. Michael, have you tried King Art dagger brushes? No, I've not. Have you tried that, Sherry? Tell me about them. Have you tried them? I don't typically use dagger brushes. I think I've only used them a couple of times. I don't have anything against daggers. They're just not something that's really in my wheelhouse. And so I haven't spent a whole lot of time trying to figure use of the dagger brushes out. You know, it's just one of those weird quirks where I've got brushes that I like and I use, and I don't deviate from that too much. I do enjoy experimenting with new brushes. But what I find is once I'm done experimenting, I don't typically go back to them all that much. And that's probably a me thing, right? That's a quirkiness about me and how I paint rather than anything else. But it's true. I just don't. I'll try them and I never get back to them, or rarely get back to them. All right, cool. Oh, cool. This is cool. So this got to be behind on this one. Getting some cool areas in here. Ooh. So I say a lot of watercolor painting is not about getting it right the first go round. It's about figuring it out on the second go round. Did this work over there? Cool. Let's see if we can extend that into the rest of this painting. If it worked over there, I bet it would really work over here. Let's figure it out. We'll end up with something that really looks nice in the end. Tell me there's not some detail on there now, right? Let's see, this can get darker. In here, a little olive green, a little cobalt green. Some dark right underneath here. I had another leaf out here. I don't even know if I'm going to paint that one on. I think that can sit and just be what it is. And drop a little yellow in here. The yellow can be what ties these leaves and the petals together. There you go. Oh, this turned out nice down here. I think that dark shadow on there. Or on the third go around. Thank you. For Copic, okay. It's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying. Angel Ninus is over on Twitch says it's beautiful. Thank you. It's getting there. We're getting there. Now we're going to do something I'm completely frightened to do, but we're going to do it anyways. First of all, I'm going to clean this off to get any blue that I have on here off of here. I don't want any blue. That rag can go away. I want this to be more yellow than red. More yellow than red. And I'm going to switch to a little smaller brush. What is this? This is a number 4 now. And I probably need a new rag because I just splattered water on here. And I don't want to splatter water on there. And what we're going to do is paint this stamen. Okay. Let's do this. You all didn't think I was going to forget about this, right? This giant white spot right in the middle of the whole thing. Anybody who's new, just coming on, yes, I left all of the, I don't know, the pollen sacs? I don't know what they're called. All the little dots on this. Blank. Didn't paint them. We'll paint them on top with some gouache or some, I don't know, something else. We'll paint them on there with something else. Let's see, I don't know that I need it. But I drew it. It was on there's this little tiny petal out here on the original one. Let's put that on. There we go. It can be there. I've taken the time to draw it. It can be there. These are like super red. There's a few of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought there were 5 of them. 5. Oh, there's one right in the middle here. 5 of these just kind of hanging out there, and we've got all these little yellow things going around it. Let's see. So you can look at this to do a little comparison to see who's done it better, me or Mother Nature. Okay, let's not do that comparison. That's a bad comparison. I don't want to do that comparison. I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose badly if we're doing a comparison between myself and Mother Nature. But that's what I started with. And that's where we're at right now. I don't think it's a bad representation of it. I think I got a little carried away with some of this. Sorry, anthers. Sherry says it's coming along great. Susie, they're anthers. Anthers. All those little dots are called anthers. Okay. That I did not know. Anthers. That's interesting. I would have had no idea. To call that an anther. But it's just pollen though, right? That is what it is? It has to be. It can't be anything else. Oh yeah, let's do this. Come on. A little bit down here. I want that to stay lighter. I don't think I'm going to do any more with that. I want that to stick out. All right, I really do. And I am going to pull out my gouache. I have the cheapest gouache money could buy. I got this gouache at the Five Below store in my area. Oh, it looks got mold growing on it. Oh, that's terrible. And I think I've used it twice. This is going to be a third time. And let's hope it works. Nope. Let's try something here. Give me a big hunk of that. Let's get a little water on there. Is this what gouache is supposed to look like? Does anybody use gouache? I don't have any idea. My youngest uses it all the time. I would think I could just get some color on here with a little water and it would work, right? I painted hibiscus once with a hummingbird feasting on it. Sherry, that's okay. I love hummingbirds. In fact, I got to get my hummingbird feeder back out. I haven't put it out yet this summer. Normally, it's been out for weeks already. I just haven't gotten around to it. I'm terrible. If you have a white gel pen, you can use it, let it dry, and then paint the yellow on top of it. Oh, that's a great idea. It's totally not working. White gel pen. Plan B, white gel pen. You know I've got a white gel pen around. White gel pen. Ooh, this might work fantastically. Got a blob of water right there. White gel pen. Oop, can't draw where the water is. Whose idea was this? Sherry. I would use a white gel pen and add yellow watercolor. That's a fantastic idea. Thank you. I think that's about all I need. All right, let it dry for a second. Oh, and it looks like this is hydrated a little bit more too. Maybe. This was going to go really well. I'm like, I'll just throw some gouache on there. Note to self: Five Below gouache maybe not be the best thing. This yellow is gouache. I've got some gouache over here. This is from Angel Ninus over on Twitch. Yes, this is gouache. I spent $5 at the Five Below store to get some gouache, so I could do some paintings with my son, and now I'm trying to use it to do anything else. Somewhat badly. Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's just I don't typically use it. But look, you get the idea, right? It's actually doing what it needs to do. It's just not. I always thought gouache and maybe Five Below gouache is not the next thing, or is not the next best thing. Maybe I need to invest in a little higher quality gouache than what I've got. But yeah, I thought, oh, we'll just drop some gouache on here and everything will be fine. Not thinking, holy cow, Not only is that gouache cheap, I haven't used it in forever. It's all good. All right, I get all that stuff off of there because look, it totally did exactly what it's supposed to do. In the end, it did what it's supposed to do. There's a couple of lines back here that probably need to go on. Right, something like that. I don't know. Could probably strengthen one or two of these. But when it comes down to it, that's that turned out roughly, exactly, kind of how I wanted it to, if that's a measurement. So now I'm to the point where I really need to look at this and say, is this where it needs to be, or is this what I want it to be? And the answer kind of is no, but the answer is kind of yes. And I'm going to tell you no, it's not, because I think I could even go darker in here, right? I could go even darker on this dark in here. I really could, right? I have to be careful not to do all of it super dark, but this could be even darker, and I think this would serve to push the center of this painting back even further. Just drop it in a little bit further. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of this. And if I didn't do this, it'd probably be okay. Nobody would ever say, well, I think what you should have done was seat the center of this hibiscus in the center of the painting a little bit further. Nobody was ever going to say that. But every time I looked at it, I would look at it and go, I just think it needs something else. And that very well might be exactly what it needs. All right. And this, and this is why I don't typically do florals. I'm looking at it and I'm going, I don't know if this is what it's supposed to look like. It's not bad. I'm just not sure. For me, this is what I wanted it to look like. And I'll bet you I could sit here and fiddle around with it for another hour or two to try to get it to look exactly like I want to. I'm certain I could. And we might just do that tonight. And so, in hour 4, we get into the tiny details. No, I'm not going to do that to anybody. I'm not going to do that to anybody. We might touch up a little bit here and there, but I'm not going to do that to anybody. I'm looking to see what I think needs something, anything. This back is pretty light back there. I'm okay with it. Right, this petal back here is really light, and it needs to be light because of this in front of it. And this one can be relatively heavier, right? When I say heavier, I mean can have more color saturation because it needs it, because they're in front, and it's going to pull the whole front half of this painting forward. What I really think is I got a little carried away with some of these. Like, I looked at this and I looked at a couple of these over here and I went, I've got a perfect idea on how to do those ruffles or whatever we're calling those. And then I got into some of the other ones and I looked at the reference photo and I went, I'm not sure. That's how I want to do it. But in general, I like it. And here's what I like about this. Regardless of whether it's, I'm going to use those quotes again, whether this is right or whether this is wrong, this painting has life to it. It's not a passive thing that just kind of sits there and is nothing, right? This painting has a lot of color in it. It has a lot of movement in it. It has a lot of those cool things that you look for in your painting, or that you try to get into your paintings. Somebody's going to come along and they're going to paint something that's a flat color, and you're going to look at it and you're going to go, oh, I don't know. And you're going to look at this and you're going to go, oh, holy cow. I've got some deep reds and almost some purples here and a purple in there. And it looks like you can just imagine it dipping in the center there. And it really does look like the stamen shoots out. We've got so many different colors on here that make it lively when you look at it. So to me, all of that stuff makes it worth it. It looks like something. It looks like it's got some interest, or it's kind of cool. So whether it's technically right or technically not so right, it's got life to it, and I like it for that. I think with that, I'm going to sign off here and call this one done. I think at this point for me, doing more is mostly going to be fiddling. Sherry says it's beautiful. Kenya says you love it. Susie says maybe a thin glaze of red-orange over the petals, except on the yellow in the center of the petals. Except on the yellow here or the yellow there. Yeah, I don't. Right, it's got like it's kind of a weird little thing here and a couple weird. But I'm not gonna worry about it. I think for what it is. I like it, and I'm going to go with it. So I'm going to call it like that. Next week, so I know I did a poll this week and this one. And next week, what do we have? What were the other choices? A poppy and a wren. We'll do one of those two. I think I'll do the bird next week. I really like painting birds. So I think we'll do the bird next Wednesday, and then maybe a poppy after that. And the challenge for this month, because of the saying of June gloom, I think the challenge this month is going to be fog. So if anybody wants to try a fog painting, I'm going to shortly post the image that I'm going to do for my fog painting. And I'm going to use a picture. I'm hoping to use a picture that I've taken. If I can't find one that I've taken that's a good one of fog, it's going to be one that I could have painted, or I could have taken any time. Angel Ninus over on Twitch says you paint only flowers. No. I rarely paint flowers. Rarely paint flowers. Last week I painted one that I really liked. This week I actually kind of like this one. Mostly I like to paint birds and odd things, food stuffs and things like that. Now that scares me. Fog. Good. Good. If that scares you, let's lean into that and see if we can't get some cool fog paintings going. I don't know exactly how to paint fog. I haven't really tried it, and I want to do it without using white gouache, but we'll figure it out. But that's weeks down the road. So until then, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I hope you're able to do something fun this weekend, and I hope you're able to join me back here again next Wednesday in the studio when we're going to paint this little guy that I've drawn. There he is. Whoop, let me put him down here. A nice little wren sitting on a branch. A cool little image. So until then, thank you so much. We'll send you out with some dancing music. All right, bye bye.